Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Nerd Soup. I am Bo Oliver, joined here today with Aaron, the Nerd Soup Monkey, and Teddy, and we are here to review the very first episode of Moon Knight, the new Disney Plus series about one of the more interesting characters from the Marvel Comics, finally getting his MCU debut, a show starring Oscar Isaac, and we also have Ethan Hawke as the villain, which is very interesting given his comments on comic book movies and shows. You know, Moon Knight is definitely a character that I've wanted to see for a long time. So seeing a lot of the elements of the character that I've become familiar with, for the most part, they were portrayed well. And I'm interested to hear your guys' thoughts about, kind of the unreliable narrator that is the Moon Knight character.
I really enjoyed it. I really love what Oscar Isaac's doing with this role. Part of me was upset at first that we didn't get enough of who Moon Knight was, but when you step back and look at it, we're watching this show from Steven's point of view. So he still has to find out what this is because he has no idea what's going on either. From that perspective, I relaxed on not really caring of who Moon Knight was because I loosely know who he is only from what you guys know. So I'm going into the show blind.
And I think that was the most interesting part, especially when those moments when they have the quick cuts and it edits out, and then he's like, "What the fuck just happened?" And as the audience, I was kind of upset because I kind of wanted to see what Mark was able to do, but I think we'll definitely get a lot of that as the season progresses. As it was teased at the end, he had this fucking demon monster, whatever the fuck it was, he was trying to get out. He's like, "No, you don't get it.
You ain't getting away from me.
You don't get locked in the bathroom with fucking Moon Knight. You're gonna try to escape." He was acting all tough in the museum, and then it was no joke after that. But I think it was definitely solid. I'm very intrigued by that aspect of it and kind of that whole unreliable narrator situation that we see here, because we really don't know what's going on, what's real and what's fake, and what's in his head, and does he have powers? Where did the suit come from? Is the suit in his head? There's just so much unknown that I guess we'll figure out as the season progresses. But overall, I think it was a solid setup. I think some of the CGI wasn't that great.
Did you guys notice that? I don't know if I have a shitty eye, but I didn't really. It didn't bother me that much to notice it. The car chase scene was pretty noticeable. Usually if it doesn't notice and it takes for me to see a still afterwards to notice, and I'm like, all right, that's not a big deal. But as I was watching it, I noticed some shakiness with the computer graphics. But other than that, I thought it was a pretty solid opening episode. That whole car chase, I was waiting for the scene where he becomes Moon Knight. It gets to the point where he's about to die, and then Moon Knight comes out, and it never happened.
Yeah, I was wondering if they were going to save that for episode 2, and they tease it at the end there, where he does let Mark Spector come back into control, and you see the costume. And I wonder about that too, because most iterations of the character, he doesn't necessarily have powers. There have been some versions of Moon Knight that do have supernatural abilities, but I think that ending scene, that could also be something that's not really happening. He could still be hallucinating. Maybe it's something that Mark Spector is putting in his mind, or that Egyptian moon god creature. Who knows? Who knows what is really happening? The accent to me was really funny by Oscar Isaac. He was the biggest standout. I mean, he's obviously the lead. He's the main character. He's the main actor. But I thought the Stephen Grant character was very funny. The accent, I don't know how good it is. Obviously, I'm not British, but for me, it was passable. And apparently, he was inspired by An Idiot Abroad, starring Carl Pilkington. So that to me is hilarious. Love that guy.
Dude, I'll tell you what, for an MCU show, and obviously you're waiting for the superhero aspect, but I wouldn't mind watching a show of Steven, of what he goes through daily. Because what Oscar's going to do with this character with the mental illness, he's doing a great job.
Yeah. Of
his daily struggles.
I think they're too mean to Steven.
They are.
Calling him dumb and stupid.
Just
going through his life. He knows a lot about Egypt. Not that dumb. Just maybe a little awkward.
Give this man a tour guide. Are you kidding?
I want to see that.
Why is she hating on him?
Steven trying to get his promotion in the museum. Season 2 we can get into Moon Knight, but this is we need the
Steven's life right now.
Whole season of Stephen Grant.
Yeah. Who knows what that guy gets into?
With all the shenanigans and not waking up. This guy wakes up 2 days later. Are you kidding?
That's scary, man.
But here's the thing. He wakes up, he after that whole, in the Alps, the whole scene in the Alps, he wakes up still tied to the bed.
I feel like that.
I don't get it.
I think that's Mark trying to cover his tracks. Be just so he knows he's not shifting.
And the whole thing with the fish.
Yeah, so Mark probably got another fish, probably put the locks back up, the tape, tied him up, and it's all right, this guy's not going to know what just happened.
They're going to fuck with this guy's head.
But he goes through all that trouble. At least you can just pluck the fin off. sloppy. And then, so I think that aspect, like I said, was like really interesting to kind of just see what it's at, like with the phone and who's on the other line. So definitely a lot of mystery to be unraveled as the season progresses. But
do you guys like the aspect of not knowing what's real and fake when you're watching a show? It kind of bothers me.
It's intriguing, and I enjoy it, but at the same time, I just want to know. Like with Mr. Robot, I'm like, all right, Elliot, I know, but come on, just give me a little something here.
Obviously we haven't seen the first 4 episodes, but some critics have. So some of the reviews I was reading, one guy did complain that they don't get very specific into his powers. Okay. So you complained about that but you pointed that out, that you're still unsure of what Moon Knight actually is.
Yeah.
And, I was confused by that as well. Seeing him transform into the costume, obviously that's not something that a normal person can do. Just manifest that costume.
Because a lot of people are like me, sadly. Like they do. Like I don't know really anything about Moon Knight.
It's a great drop.
I don't really know anything about Moonlight, so
and I think most people won't.
So they have to cater to people too that don't know that. They got to explain who he is and what powers he has.
But the comics are kind of vague as well too. At points, it's like he's a character that could it could be anything, and it's that.
I think there's a Deadpool quality to it, where it's almost breaking the rules, but you can kind of get away with it because Moon Knight's crazy. For the unsuspecting viewer who isn't familiar with this character, the name Mark Spector means nothing.
Right.
So when I hear that name, I'm like, oh, cool. For viewers who aren't familiar with this character at all, I imagine
Steven isn't his
But see, I have a problem with the MCU. It was like Doctor Strange. They're like, oh, the visuals, they're so surreal, it's so trippy. And I'm like, is it? Because I feel like it wasn't. And even with moments like this, I would have preferred editing that was more based in reality, because I think that when you bring so much attention to how weird and unreliable everything is, it takes me out of it. Like you mentioned the CGI. I thought the Egyptian god who was trying to like reach out to him and give him direction, that look, if it was practical, imagine if you got like a 10-foot man and you put him on stilts and you had him walking around in a practical Egyptian god suit. That would have just been scarier to me.
Right.
When the CGI isn't so sharp.
Yeah, if it was better,
it takes me out of it.
You would get that too, but it just wasn't that great. So,
but I wonder if still sketch. It was still nice though. It was cool. It was cool to see it. Did it take you out of it when you saw it? Like when you saw it?
No, it was more so I wanted it to be scarier. Yeah. I thought that these moments should have been creepier.
It has creepy moments with the mirrors.
Right, but like I said, even the editing, when it would go, it's, that what's coming now.
Right,
so the first time it happened, it's startling. You see him surrounded by the people that he's killed, and he's covered in blood. But then when it's going to happen again, you just know what's already coming.
What? Is that being removed?
The blood?
Those scenes will get removed?
Who knows? I know it happened for the Captain America show. But I also read that that's a feature on Disney+.
A feature, okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because when you had to re-log in after the update where they added all the new shows, you had to put in and confirm that you're over whatever, just to get some of the mature content. So that could be, if that's the case, then.
Those moments were pretty violent, even though we don't see it. And I do like that effect. The violence that you don't see, you get to imagine it in your head. But his performance is what was really selling it. And even Ethan Hawke as his character, I forget what the character's name was.
Was it Harrow?
Yeah, Arthur Harrow.
Harrow, yeah.
He looks like a cult leader, and he is such a good actor. So even though we don't know exactly what he's up to, it looks like he's trying to carry out the deeds of this god who's up to no good.
He was too evil.
But the god isn't bad, though. The god is trying to weigh is...
Well, that's a whole other...
Well, the god weighs is argument are you trying to have?
The god weight, like... It's more of he's not doing something bad, but something has to happen in order for this to work. You know what I mean? So it's like, preventing like the way he says it.
Go watch Minority Report.
The way he says it makes it sound good. Like we could have prevented Hitler or any like the Armenian genocide, which it makes sense, but you're just killing people. Like there's no chance for them to live.
So you're confirmed wanting to make sure that Hitler or the Armenian genocide never took place.
Yes.
Okay.
But I'm saying for something good to happen, something bad also has to happen. So there's a give and a take.
Right. And there's
so
a
what's
whole
happening
other,
because of what
he's doing. He's talking like he's Hydra. But it's the same thing with Hydra. If we control everything, no more wars.
Yeah.
If we hold you hostage.
I wish there was something more to that character where like he was very clearly just a bad guy. And I think there was a avenue.
Right, but that's awesome.
Yeah, but I think there's also an avenue for him to kind of try to, convince Steven or be more convincing that he might be right, or there's a moral gray when it comes to what he's actually doing. He just is just straight up bad cult leader right away. That's what the vibe you get from him. Because there's an argument to be made, and you can, I think you can make that.
Why don't you like that?
Because it's just very one note. I feel like I'm just saying, maybe there could have been a.
Yeah, but the way he showed up in the city, I thought the whole atmosphere of the character, the vibe of the character,
down to him.
Right, the respect that he commanded, putting the glass in his shoes, I thought all that was creepy.
No, I'm talking about more.
Is he a god though? Is he a Met?
He's like a vessel for.
No, he's like a.
Is he a
priest,
vessel or is he a Met?
He's like
prophet.
I don't know.
I think he's a Met because a Met is the god that weighs people's souls, and he's doing that to those.
Right, but I think that it's like Mark Spector, where it looks like he's an opposite, where he's using the power of a god, that he's not a god himself.
Okay.
I mean, maybe.
But I'm not necessarily talking about the character itself, but more of like how he was trying to convey his messaging to Steven about saying like, this is what I do. I try to prevent terrible atrocities by stopping them before they happen. And it just really wasn't a convincing argument from that standpoint, because I feel like there could have been a little avenue to dive deeper into that, like, kind of what he's trying to do.
He's playing it slow, man. He's playing it slow. He doesn't want to wait. He's gonna give him the whole
I think for a first play, cut him a little slack here.
He sent the dogs after him.
Yeah, but then he let him go. He, like he said, he gave him the message about being anti-Hitler.
He weighed him though, and we didn't see what Spector's.
Right.
He weighed him, and we didn't see what Steven's reveal was.
Well, in Death Note, you didn't watch Death Note, right?
No,
it's very much a guy who's just bored, and he decides to become that. He decides to morally judge everyone and kill the people he deems are not worthy, and keep the good ones alive, because he has the same philosophy. If we just keep all the good people.
But he's doing what he thinks. This is what actually is going to happen.
Well, it is the same. It is kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
But that is interesting. So if he did weigh Mark, there's kind of a balance there.
Yeah.
So he could tip either way. So that's what I guess he'll try to play on in the upcoming episodes. But I think, a lot of these Marvel villains end up.
I'm excited
to
see more of Harrow, though.
But why I like the just kind of creepy villain guy right off the bat is because so many villains these days where it's like, I have to convince you why I'm right, or I feel I'm right, or this is my tragic backstory. Sometimes, what really works? Just a fucking creepy guy who puts glass in his shoes.
Yeah, that was. I thought that was Steven at first. I didn't know that was Ethan Hawke's character.
I was like, they're going straight into Moon Knight being a fucking lunatic, huh?
Yeah.
Oh no, that's the villain. Well, that doesn't bode well. I wonder we'll see how that relationship ends up playing out.
I wonder what the old lady did, or what she was going to do, because she got the red note.
I'll tell you what, I would never take that chance.
You don't trust yourself?
No. Do you? You guys? If he comes up to you and says, "You're like, I'm gonna weigh your soul, and if you're good, you're going to heaven. If you're bad, you're going to hell."
It was probably some bullshit like she was jaywalking once. You need like a fucking.
You can't give me that.
You need a clean ass record. But I imagine well, it's the argument. What if heaven's real? No one's getting in.
I always
criteria is way too strict.
I'd make it in. I just don't want to take the chance.
I always like the character that's like an older person. Herb. But like has done some shit in their past.
Yeah, the old person who's trying to make up for it.
We gotta make hell cool.
Hell already is cool.
It's gotta be cool to go to hell,
Yeah, if we're gonna poke at the rules, it seems that hell is the cooler place.
When you think of all the strict rules to get into heaven, I don't want to go there. There's a bunch of fucking squares.
True.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, a bunch of Captain Americas.
Yeah, you don't want to deal with that, right?
Yeah, bunch of Steven Rogers.
Real quick, I want to give a nod. Now we're talking about that the weighing the souls. Oscar Isaac, you got to think he's acting, and the way he portrays being controlled, he's very convincing.
Yeah, no, that is a very good point.
Like he has to actually, he's holding his fist. I don't know. He's got to make it believable, and he sold it.
I thought he was very believable throughout all the wackiness of the character.
Yeah.
Being completely thrown off by the sets and the settings, realizing that he's 2 days late to his normal schedule. I thought all that stuff was very believable. He was certainly acting his ass off. There were some aspects of the overall show that I thought, the weirdness, they didn't really pull it off. But in terms of his performance, he was on the top of his game.
Mm-hmm.
That waiter should be fired, by the way.
What did the waiter do?
He's like, I'll have a steak, I'll have the best cut. And then he's like, I'll just get it well done for you.
Well, you had to go well done. If no one does, if you don't know steak, what are you gonna give him rare?
Nice medium rare, medium at the highest.
You know how bad I wanted a steak. After watching that scene.
No, dude, I thought the same thing. I was like, I want to go to Telly's.
I was actually eating steak while watching the show.
Are you kidding?
Steak and eggs, a little breakfast
Steak and
champions.
eggs is nice.
But what do you think? Like that's like the phone and that connection is, I guess, his past in, I guess, New York.
Yeah, I mean the character obviously, Stephen Grant is the British persona, but he's also operated on the West Coast. So I don't know how they're going to use the character in the larger MCU if it is going to be a West Coast Avengers type of thing. They also have the Supernatural team, the Midnight Suns, I think that he's also a part of, with Blade and Doctor Strange and Punisher. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's a squad.
I need that TV
nice
show.
Little Supernatural squad. I know, right?
Are you kidding? I need to do a deep dive on Moon Knight.
Yeah, I thought the action sequence when he's
it's
getting away
a
in
comic sitting right in front of you that Bo gave you to read that you left here.
You gave me this?
Yeah, I said, you could take that with you.
When the hell did you say that?
Last time you were here recording.
Podcast? Yesterday? No.
Yeah.
Thursday?
Last time you were here.
When the hell was I here?
Today's Wednesday.
Oh, chill, Mark.
That was genuine, too. I'll take this. I didn't know you were giving this to me. I wanted to read this. There was two of them on top of each other.
Yeah, what do you think the other one is?
You took it?
Yeah.
Did you read it?
No.
Man, a part of me really wishes that they would take one of these comic books one day and just do like 60% of what the comic book is.
Yeah.
Because the MCU always does this, and superhero movies always do it. They take pieces of these comic books, but they don't treat them like anime treats the manga. And I wish sometimes that you don't need to go verbatim, but sometimes it's like,
why not?
Just put them in a mental hospital and go off of the Jeff Lemire story. But they're obviously, like I said, they always pull from those elements. I thought the suit,
that was clean.
Right. I always wondered, how is he so stealthy with that pearly white suit? But it looked good. I do hope they get into the grounded elements of the Moon Knight character just being an average vigilante, having the connection to the Avengers at times, but mostly operating on his own.
Does Moon Knight have a rogue gallery?
Dracula.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I think you're joking around again.
Yeah, never seen the comic panel where he calls Dracula a big fucking nerd?
No. What?
Well, he's crossover with a lot of characters. They're going to bring him into the movies. He'll probably be in the next Avengers movie.
I mean, yeah, Oscar Isaac is one of the biggest stars in Hollywood right now, and only rising, which is hard to believe seeing where he's at now. But you get someone like that on your roster, you put him in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, as for the overall humor, nothing really stood out.
No, I think
a couple chuckles. I laughed more like the way he was talking, like when he kept saying bullocks and he kept calling his mom.
The English writing, the British sayings and stuff like that, I thought those were well done.
He kept missing the bus.
Someone's having a laugh. It's such a British thing to say.
I knew someone who went to England for the first time, and she was very upset because I kept why is everyone asking me if I'm all right? Like, there's something wrong with me? And that's just what they say.
What? Are you all right?
You all right? Huh. Just like a nice little, I don't know what it means, but yeah, they added a lot of that. So I think definitely set in England, definitely in London with all the slang and everything. Did they have any idea? So they didn't really know who he was. So it felt like they might have, because at first when they first saw him, it was shoot to kill. Then when he's in the town, they're like, no. And then it was back to shoot to kill.
Well, actually, he
it seemed like he really didn't know who he was. But then he meets him in the museum and talks about the voice in his head.
But he woke up with the broken jaw, too. So something went down before he woke up.
Well, yeah, they said he killed 2 guards and I guess stole the scarab.
So I wanted to ask you too. Does he become Moon? Does this all happen to him because maybe he unlocked something from the museum that he didn't know? Because I thought the scarab maybe he from the museum that he got, and that's why this is happening to him.
Yeah, I imagine the Stephen Grant persona, him being where he is, working at that museum, will be connected to the work he's doing.
Right.
For the voice in his head. Like I said, I don't know, how far back they're going to go in terms of, because he's clearly already Moon Knight. Mark Spector's got this history. He knows other people who know who he is. And the phone call is interesting because when she realizes that he's, I guess, having an episode, she hangs up. As soon as he hints that he has no idea what's going on. There's so many avenues that you can go. And it is interesting that it's not, from the beginning. It's not Mark Spector, realizing what he has to do, or having this experience in Egypt where he's, once again, you don't know if it's a hallucination, if it's really happening, where he's approached by the Egyptian moon god and it inspires him to become a vigilante.
Well, I wonder how long he's been Moon Knight for, because the burner he has is a Motorola Razr.
Yeah.
And typically, burners, I guess they can be older phones, but I've never seen a burner as a Razr. So maybe he just always had that on deck as his Moon Knight persona. Picked it up in 2008.
Well, that's annoying. So Mark Spector isn't the alter ego? He's like Steven is the alter ego?
I think there are many.
And Mark Spector is the actual guy?
But he's got other personalities as well, and they play with that in a bunch of different ways. Well, hopefully, that the story, that the battle that they're having here between the two gods doesn't end. I mean, I don't know how many episodes it's running, but we get to episode 6, and it's we've seen it before, CGI battle, where the stakes are so high and one side wins, and it kind of wraps it up. I hope that this does lead into something deeper within the supernatural realm of the MCU, where it can relate to what's going to happen in a Blade movie, or maybe a series, Midnight Sun.
I hope Midnight it ends with them unlocking some of the ancient Egyptian deities, and up comes Apocalypse, and it's Oscar Isaac reprising his role.
That would be very stupid. Maybe in Doctor Strange.
Or maybe it's Mephisto.
I love Supernatural.
You love the show Supernatural or Supernatural things?
Both.
Okay.
No, but Egyptian mythology always interests me. And seeing all this is definitely piqued my interest too.
Yeah, it is fascinating. And I read that one of the reviews said that it was very kind of spot on when it came to the Egyptian mythology.
Oh, it's sick.
Yeah. So you always want to make sure that you're honoring that. You don't want to twist it, because it's similar to the comics. It's already good enough to just keep it as it is. You don't want to be blasphemous. Because those Egyptian gods, man, they don't fucking play.
Yeah, I have the Mummy in my top 10.
All right, well, on that note, that is the first episode review of Moon Knight. We will be back next week for episode 2. And it's a show that promises to only get weirder as the episodes come out.
Weirder and better.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully it's weirder and better. One can only hope.
Just give me one action scene next episode that I can actually watch.
Oh, we'll see more.
That's all I want. As of right now, all I want is a nice action scene.
Yeah, we need something like
hand-to-hand
in
combat.
Hawkeye when he was stuck in the giant tree in New York City. Oof. That was an action sequence.
You're really cool on Hawkeye, huh? Damn, we were making some good points in that video. Hey guys, Aaron the Nerd Suit Monkey here. Before we end this video, I want to give a quick shout out to our Patreon supporters. What can I say about you guys that I haven't already said about myself? You are the most important part of the channel and the main reason we keep going strong. Like Bo says, you keep the lights on in the fridge so the fridge is full. Or something like that. So, from everyone here at Nerd Soup, I'd like to thank you guys for your continued support. If you're interested in joining the ranks of our patron supporters, head over to patreon.com/nerdsoup and check out the rewards we offer to our patrons. We recently dropped some new stickers for you guys to check out, or you could choose a tier that will allow you to select a movie, show, or video game for us to review. We've got a full slate of fan-suggested reviews coming your way, and we're really excited about the chance to review some of those movies and shows. We've also got t-shirts, mugs, behind-the-scenes videos showing how we bring our videos to life. And once again, thank you to all our Patreon pledgers who have been supporting us throughout the years. Without you, we wouldn't be able to convert all your pledges into cryptocurrency, so thank you from my future self for making us rich.